right. We got Woodman in on the show. How you doing, brother?
Fantastic yourself.
Not too bad. All right, we tried to have Woodman on last night. We tried to have him on a lot. We just been having some technical difficulties lately, and hopefully we're able to pull one off right now, because I love when Woodman's on, and he wants to be on more than he has been lately, but we've just been dealing with some issues. The powers that be, don't want him on spreading the truth, and they're kind of attacking. No, we don't think it's all that, folks. We just think it's little issues we're working out. But anyway, he's on right now, so we're gonna let Woodman do some talking, and anyway, he's got some good things he wants to bring up. So what you been looking into, Woodman? What do you got going on?
Well, I've been watching a lot of this fake news. That's kind of what I've been taking a lot of time doing that, and of course I dipped into the Q thing too. But I do want to say something. I don't know if anybody remembers Jack Riley. He was a former DEA agent, and he was pretty big on this opiate problem we have in our country. He he's a firm believer in taking those guys that own the big pharmaceutical companies, stick them in jail, put them right beside the same people that are in jail because they're doing opiates and they're stealing whatever to get the money to go ahead and get those pills because they're addicted. Yeah, I think that was great. The bad thing was, well, if you remember right, Obama shut that one down, so they couldn't get that one through. But anyway, that was just one of the things. Good Lord, you would, if you watched all the shows I've been watching lately, the Democrats are putting so much time and effort into discrediting our president. They forget everything else. If they were to devote all that time and energy into some kind of a positive thing for our country, we'd be doing a lot better off. But I'll tell you what it is. This is what really got me going. Imagine now a whirlpool, and it's spinning around and around and around and around. And when object gets close to that opening, it gets sucked right down. And this is what's happening to
real quick, Woodman. Tons of people just saying, "Hey, Woodman, good to see you. What's up, bud?" Amy, one of our moderators that helps control the chats in the live feed, she's saying, "Hey, we also got a John Goop. Michael,
Gipe.
Please tell Gipe. Michael, please tell Woodman I'm here." So he's here. He's watching. Just to let you know. So.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead and get back on. So you're making a good point that they're in once they lost, it just became this huge. No matter what he does, we'll go opposite. So like I've been saying for 2 years, if he was to come out, Woodman, and say, "I'm taking care of the hunger around the world, nobody's gonna be hungry," and then people would bitch that, "Well, we got our own hungry here." If he was to say, "I'm gonna feed all the hunger here first," and then they'd yell at him that there's hunger around the world and there are people dying. So no matter how he does it, right? It's they find the opposite and horn in on that, and it's just a hilarious show. It's a hilarious show.
You're exactly right, and and here's the weird thing. I watch at least 3 or 4 channels of what I would really consider positively fake news, and they focus on like a could have been, would have been. We're going to look into it. Could be shady over here. They're just what they're really on this thing about Mueller too, getting this thing released. That's not going to happen until our president comes back. So they're doing like weird. See, how can I say this? It's going to be Hollywood for a week until he comes back. It's like when the cat's away, the mice will play.
Yeah.
They're doing everything. They're fabricating stuff to get. I got one other good point I want to make too, because they're all talking about people are losing their property because of this wall. Okay. I watched some of the footage on there. There was one lady complaining about her small little area she was going to lose from this fence. Now listen, on the other side of that fence is the river, and it's a steep grade. it's
It drops
pretty much
off immediately.
it's an improvement. Uh, Here, let me ask you this, Mike. Okay, here on the road I live on, they can widen that road at any time they want. Correct?
Yeah, they're going to do
And
that
I have
easement
and
or that, you know.
I have no say so. So why are these people down there complaining about security? You know what I
Um,
mean? They're losing
you're
a
right.
few foot.
If you build a fence on your own property, you have to build that fence on your property. You typically leave, like, you know, the easement on the outside where you have, you know, that way you're not impending on your neighbor's property. You can't build your fence on your neighbor's. You got to build it on yours. And then you normally have a strip. Maybe some people leave the one width of a push mower, so they come and push mow on that side of their fence, and that's, you know.
Right.
But I guess if you don't want a fence and somebody's putting one on there, yes, you're going to lose a little bit, but it's almost like that's typically they're not real wide. You're not going to lose like 25 foot. You know, you're losing like. So I'm sure they went down and had a hard time finding the ones that were complaining. I mean, nobody wants to lose land, have land grabbed from them. You're right. People do complain, Woodman, if they're going to widen the road. You might not like it. You're like, damn it, you know, your mailbox or whatever's right there. You maybe have some flowers around it. That all ends up having to come back 5-10 feet. I don't know. I know people.
And we have no say so.
That's right.
We have
Now,
no
do they
say
pay?
so.
Don't
None
they
at
pay
all.
the going rate for what they took from you? If I remember,
Yes, they
okay,
do.
you don't have a say. Like,
Yep,
no,
they
no good. Let's renegotiate. You don't get to negotiate. It's kind of that assessed value that the state puts on it, because otherwise they'd be at the drawing board with people. Like, I don't agree with that $5,000 they're trying to give me. I want 18 grand, and so they just kind of give you what they give you. They take it and they pay you.
I do know this much: on a 2-lane highway, from the center line out to where 35 feet stops, that's where you can have property. Even though your property is in that 35-foot range, that's still, check the books out. The law says
Yeah.
exactly how it is.
Gotcha.
They can do whatever they want to in that 35 foot. So, you know, and why are these people down there complaining about what a trade? I don't care if they even lost 15 foot. What a trade! 15 foot for security, knowing you can go to bed at night and not worry about, you know, something going on. You, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I wonder how much the Democrats are paying these people to complain. Although I must admit, I haven't found very many of them that complain. Mainly, it's like a reporter says something about he's in an area, you know, yada yada yada, but there's no people there to support his story.
Oh yeah.
And this does. I've seen it. I've seen it, folks.
Well, it's like the government shutdown, Woodman. Clearly, like the reporters, CNN wanted some articles of people that were hurting. Like 2 weeks in, they're calling people, hey, you've been laid off. I'm fine. We had money saved. Oh, okay, well, bye. Click. And they kept calling and calling. They finally found something like, yeah, I'm getting ready to lose my home and my car is getting repoed. Okay, we'll be right over. And they race over there. And now, you know, 3 weeks into not having a paycheck and you're losing everything, things are getting shut off. You must have been in some kind of predicament before you even got laid off. You know, who knows? Because nobody loses everything in 2 weeks.
It's kind of hard to be behind unless you're behind more than 1 month or two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's being behind.
Yeah.
You know, so they're devoting so much energy. I just wish they'd do it in the right way, man. Q is fantastic, people. I don't care what anybody says. Q is fantastic, and there's more than one person involved in this. I've been checking in this stuff too. The Q, I know they're not everyone or everybody or any organization is 100% correct, but I will say this much: this Q operation is very close to President Trump, and they try really, really hard to give you the exact facts, and then you have to run from there. I just think that's just fantastic. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, no, you're right. And if it was like Q's told us, all for a LARP, all right, a LARP would be like just Q's not real. That, you know how the media tries this conspiracy that's out there. why would they even mention it? If it was no harm to the news, if they're going about their lying ways in business, the way I take it is if something's not really true, the media will just ignore it. Ignore it until they can't no more. I get that they'll pick up something here and there, but there's been an attack, a wide range, almost systematic. When Q was telling us it's coming, and then boom, it happened. It was like you can go to every single mainstream, not just news outlet, but like papers and the articles that all came out. Every one of them almost started like this vast white right-wing conspiracy that, it was a talking point over and over. It was like the somebody way up high put out the little memo, and they all just, the stories are all the same across every platform. A little bit of different words here and there, but man, it was a coordinated effort. You can tell. And wow, you do all that and they've not stopped. They keep coming back. They keep liking to repeat that Q is don't look at it. It's no good. Listen to us. That's basically what they're trying to say, without saying it just like that.
They're grabbing at anything to try and prevent themselves from going down that hole, that whirlpool. That's exactly what it is. There's already been some indictments being made already. All these people that are involved, now just think about this, for so many years, they actually got away with it. It was pretty much like a normal lifestyle for them. They lived a certain way in front of the camera for the people to see, and then they were doing this other stuff on the side, that's like this, holy cow, making the Patriot name look real bad. Who is this guy that owns the New England Patriots involved in this human trafficking? Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know about that, Mike?
Yes, we covered that. Q dropped on it. You remember the Sandusky case from years ago, the guy that was up there to college. Right. And so, yeah, we know all these people. These people that are very powerful, rich, own things like that. I'm not saying all of them, but man, we know that if you have all the money, you have all the power. I don't know what gets these people, what their next thing is. A lot of us all desire just to have a lot of money to pay bills and maybe be comfortable. A lot of us don't know what it is to have a lot of money, a lot of power, and then kind of be bored and like, what do? I got all this money, all this power. I want to do this, or what they're part of is sometimes really sick. And I think it's a vast network. I think a lot of them know each other. They cover for each other. If any of them go outside of the norms, like the Sandusky case, that guy, that coach or the whatever was in the locker room, and it was witnessed by like a third party doing something to somebody. And that was outside. I think the head people stepped in, lawyers came into him like, well, you know the rules. Why didn't you just take him to the hotel, Jerry? And he's like, oh, I couldn't help myself. I had to touch him right then and there. And it's like, well, you're going down, and none of us can cover for you now. You broke the rules of our code. I don't know. So now this was a prostitution thing, right? With the Patriots owner, like. I can pull it back up.
It goes deeper than that. Robert Kraft is his name.
Yeah, Kraft.
Yeah, and he's gee whiz, really heavy involved in the female action as far as trafficking goes.
And he had like a really sex puppy where he had people that were part of this that would just follow him around 24/7, and anytime he's like, I want this. Oh, all right, they're there to be on demand. Like,
well, I wonder how many NFL players got involved in that. Or other team owners.
Yeah, is it just the other owners? Is it that echelon?
They're involved. They're involved in it. That's the bad thing here. Once a person. Okay, here we go. Let's just say I was a real low dope dealer, and I got mine off of a guy, and I knew he had a big guy, so I get caught doing something, I'm gonna try and like lighten the load on me or whatever, and try and get it to somebody else, and that's how it's going to keep on growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how this works.
Yeah.
Well, they got that
Yeah.
actress, the one that was in the Superman show years ago. It was like a newer Superman show that came out. I can't remember the name of it. Smallville. It was called Smallville. And the one main actress, like she was a second, one of the couple of main actresses. She just went down recently, Allison Mack, and she, had people above her, and they're saying that she's singing like a bird. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
how it's going. They get some of these people. You're going to spend 50 or 100 years or the rest of your life, and then they're squilling. I'll give you everything I know.
Yeah, they're trying. That's like I always say Democrats. I shouldn't say that. I'll say it. The opposing team is they're trying everything. There's so many people involved. The percentages is pretty crazy. Uh, if they took them all down at one time, it'd be a big void, and you know that as well
Oh
as
yeah,
anybody does. So a lot of these things too have already been going on. You know that, Mike, and it's been really secret. It's already been announced by certain departments and certain things that they are not going to release a lot of these things to the public. It's going to have to be where certain people have to request it, and then it's got to go through a certain board, and then they'll agree to what they can or cannot release. Now, this is after it's been screened by the guy that says you're not going to be able to see this. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So we can't see all of it because the average person wouldn't know how to react. So they're doing the correct thing about started off slow, uh, behind the scenes, no big deal, no major catastrophe and stuff. Almost like business as normal, except for you got these Democrats taking
yeah.
up so much time and energy doing
I would
stupid
like
shit.
to say the way I see this and the way it's been told is it's by the law, right? Everyone, like, well, dang, Trump, when he was running, he said, well, if I was president, you'd be arrested, or, I'm going to open up an investigation into you, Hillary. All these things have been done. They were just, the media didn't want, just like when Trump on December 23rd or 21st of 17 put in the human rights executive order, media blackout. Not a damn channel wanted to talk about it, where typically they're, Trump wrote another executive order, or even in the past, Obama's wrote an executive order. What's it entail? There was a media
Right.
blackout on it. They didn't want to talk about the things that they're all involved in. So it's like, ugh. He's stacked in these executive orders. And when you do that, it gives you certain executive powers. You're allowed to create little subcommittees or groups to start looking into things. He's done it all. He's the one that opened up the looking into the election rigging. If he worked with Russia, why would he put an executive order in to demand it get looked into? So he did, when he, this is what's scary is I look at it, yes, we have, the medical field. And in that medical field, I like to see doctors and the pharmacists that work at the windows. Everyone's working real well over there. And that's what we want. We don't want just somebody that has no knowledge of that coming in and being a doctor or giving out meds to people. So we kind of like to, my mechanic works on my car, a lawyer's who I go to for this, and then I go over here. And it seemed like the presidency is supposed to be a normal person. That's what we want. That's what it was set up for. The average man that's knows the people. And here we got a guy, Trump, come to run to this system that was all part of players. We talk about blackmail. A lot of these people have been blackmailed to do what they have to do. They get invited to a party by the Clintons. They have cameras set up. Oh, hey, we got some drugs of your choice over here. Oh, in that back room, there's this and these. Oh, wow, and they're doing it. And then they get told, oh, by the way, we recorded you. You're going to do this for us next week. What? Oh my God. So we know this game entails a lot of blackmail, a lot of abuse, people that don't want to go along for whatever reasons to cover. Oh, if this tape comes out, I'll be destroyed with my wife and kids. So the wrong choices are made. They're not that, some of them crimes, depending on what happened after they were blackmailed and then went along, if it resulted in thousands of people's deaths and all this, yeah, it's bad. But some of these people aren't going to do the rest of it. They're not getting hung. They're not going to Gitmo forever. they're just going to have some time on their hands. Others will go down for treason, sedition, and all these bad things. But yeah, there you go. So when Trump comes, this whole system turned against him. You could talk about all of the Democrats. Half of the Republican Party didn't want him. All of corporate America didn't want him. 98% of D.C. didn't vote for him. So there's only 2% that did. I mean, it just goes on. And people are like, yeah, because he's a businessman that's got connections to Russia. And I brought this up last night, Woodman. You know, we pay all this tax dollars into funding the NSA, the CIA, the FBI. They're the biggest intelligence gathering group in the world, with the biggest tax dollar budget in the world. And they built it all up, and everyone's like, they're listening to all of us. They got everything, and they do. They record everything. It gets stored. But I guess we are led to believe that it doesn't really work. They're not proactive in that system of listening to everybody, because only when Trump decides to run, he's connected to Russia, and they got to look into it. We got to open up stuff. They weren't, you'd think if somebody was getting ready to run, or this whole point of this system was to catch terrorists, like plotting. They're supposed to be on phones and talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to ram a plane into a building, and that intel is supposed to stop that from happening. So if Trump was connected to Russia, wouldn't they already have known that? Or we have to wait till somebody runs and then get real loud about it and create fake dossiers to get privilege to even start looking into them. I see.
You said it right there. Fake dossiers. You just said it right there, buddy.
So
yeah, that's the beginning of all this. Yeah,
that's the hugest thing, folks. I mean, Comey comes out, brings up all the crimes Hillary committed. Well, yeah, she was careless. She had we know, even if you worked in the intelligence community in the service and you dealt with little thumb drives that you plugged into one computer, you put sensitive information on it, you took that and you go to another computer and you put it in there to transfer it for somebody or whatever. But you go home that night, Woodman, and you forgot it literally in your pocket. You get home, you're taking out your keys, and you pull out that little thumb drive, like, oh man, I'm at home, in my home, and I got this little thumb drive. I'm gonna drive back to the base, and you turn around and you're home for a half hour. You turn it into the appropriate people. Said, I left the base with this sensitive thumb drive. Did anybody take it from your pocket, do you know of? No, it was in my pocket. I drove home. I didn't stop anywhere. I reached in my pocket to get my keys. I drove right back here. Okay, well, they're going to plug it in. They're going to access it and see if you accessed it from home, maybe you took a copy of it. Nope, you didn't. They can tell, nope, the last time it was plugged into a computer was 3 hours ago, and it was at station 19, and you're all good. But since you accidentally took it home and you just forgot, your clearance is gone and your career is ruined in the military. And you're like, yeah, I know, that's the rules. So even though nothing happened, you just left with it on accident, you self-admit, you're done.
Yeah,
so
that's the rules.
We get into her server and everyone's like, well, past, people up in her positions have had, private emails and used them for, Gmails and whatever. But man, hers goes so much deeper than that. It's like, how did the husband of her, her aide, Anthony Weiner, this third guy, nothing to do with anybody. They found all her emails on his laptop. Now, this guy was married to her aide, but still, why is it things on his laptop? I mean, how sensitive these emails were, Woodman, that even the people that investigated didn't have access. The people that were investigating the whole thing didn't have access to see the emails. They could just get wordage based on, like, these are really sensitive, just know that they're sensitive. They didn't need to look at each email to be like, she sent this one, that's bad. They just got a general wordage that you can't see them, just know that they're classified, and this is the things that were all over the place on this guy's laptop or aide's laptop. They don't they couldn't even see it. Less than 300 people in the U.S. have the right to see those emails that she had. Some of them, not all of them, but the ones that are classified at the highest ratings, less than 300 people have the right and privilege to look at them. But this Anthony Weiner guy had them. But there's no crimes.
Yeah, no crimes.
Well, he didn't say that there was no crimes, but he made it. He named off all of this stuff, and then stops and says, but no prosecutor in their right mind would probably go after this stuff, so we're not going to press any charges. So what I'm saying is, this whole group of people, Comey, all these people that are involved, They had clear crimes. I mean, they were tripping over Hillary crimes. Tripping, literally. If you're walking through all her crimes, you're like, trip, 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 trip. You can gather it all up, throw it into a bag, and present it. You already had all the crime. You didn't have to go looking for nothing. She did it all. It's right there.
Right.
They ignored
Right.
it.
Right.
They ignored it. And they came out publicly and said, we're going to ignore it. And in the same breath, we're starting one into Trump, though. And they didn't have anything. But they are looking for 2 years, been looking. So now what if they do find him? Are they going to come out and say the same for like, well, we did find Trump was colluding with Russia, and they name off all the stuff, and then what they say, but we're not going to file any charges, because that's equivalent of what they did for Hillary. They named it all off, they had it all, and they ignored it. Now here's a case where they're just looking for something. They created some stuff to make it look good too. So it's quite funny. That wasn't fair under the law. These people know it. Every single one of them people that denied Hillary and were involved in hers and then started the Trump one have now been fired as well, gone. So,
Well, a lot of them quit too.
yeah, quit, fired, removed, something, so one way or another.
Resign.
Yes.
Yeah.
Step down, something happened to him. So I know for a fact, I don't need anybody to tell me, like, well, the Hillary didn't do any crimes, she never got charged. Well, yeah, I know that she didn't get charged, but I don't need somebody to tell me, like, she didn't commit this or that. She did. It's clear. Just by the sheer amount of reports that have come out, articles written about it, and the manner of what went down, it's clear as a day that crimes were committed and ignored. So I have every bit of faith that they're being looked into. I know all these other investigations have been going on. Mueller, whatever, for the last 2 years, as he's found things out that go outside of his scope, he had to refer them outward or this way, that way. He's been referring things, and there's all these other investigations going on that Trump started behind the scenes. So they really, whether Mueller was a bad guy or is working with them secretly, we still don't quite know. He was in a position to where if he came across some kind of information that in his scope, if he didn't refer it outward, these other people around him were watching, I think, to see, like, oh, he's not doing his job right. Maybe Huber already had lines coming into the Trump campaign, and he stopped shy, waiting for Mueller to reach out on that length outward of some path, and if he didn't, it would come out in the report. Like all of our investigations pointed things coming into this Russia collusion. Mueller never pointed it back out to us to look at. So what I'm saying there is either he did his job correctly, or we're going to get this bull crap, released next week or the week after Trump comes back or whatnot. But then I think a lot of the other investigations, Huber, things that we haven't been able to hear about, because there's too many different investigations going on, and releasing something from one could hinder the other one that's going on over here actively. So I think there's this administration doesn't leak. The last several administrations, Obama, Bush, Clinton, they all leaked in a manner to make it work for them. They leaked something over here to get that mouthpiece to say something to help them out. It was leaks to help put out fires or direct a narrative. The Trump campaign, I think his tweets alone keep everyone busy, and all these investigations were able to go on untainted. That's just
like we've been talking about for a long time. I was really impressed with our president because he tweets something before he says something. So therefore, this fake news they can only twist the story so far.
Yes.
And then that's as far as it can go, because we used to always call it CYA, cover your ass. Now listen, you in security, for a fact, if you had a server like that, now let's be open-minded here, you had a server like that, and let's just say that you accidentally let the wrong person look at it, you'd still be in the brig, young man.
Oh yeah, yes. There you go.
And what are these people getting away with? Highway robbery, and they're doing it right in front of our face.
Yes.
Of course now they try and whatever they do, they try and butter it up at the end, where it's not so bad. But even fake news has a hard time keeping that out of the news. You know what I mean? They still have to kind of cover it just a little bit.
I think it's like the hypocrisy. What do you think? Like all these same people jumped on Kavanaugh when he was going to get, go to the Supreme Court, and they're like, oh, he's got some lady coming out from 38 years ago saying that he touched her, raped her, all these things, and everyone
Oh yeah,
jumped on, bashed it in. Nobody wanted to hold off, but now as it comes back on them, just several. It's not even years later. It's so fresh in our minds for those of us paying attention, and then you see the hypocrisy. They're all like, now we can't rush to judgment. And then the Jesse thing came out. They rushed to judgment on that. And then the minute the truth comes out, then they're like, oh, we're not going to say much more until all the facts come out. And it's like, well, you
right.
already said a whole bunch. And it was wrong, so
Well,
it's,
the people that heard it first, they may not have heard like the secondary or third area as far as getting this news refined. They heard it, right off the bat. Of course, half of it was junk, so they believe all this. They believe what they hear. I mean, you can't blame them, but what they're hearing is junk. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, because I'll say it again too. Society has got us that way. Man and woman both work. The average person does not have enough time to search like Mike and I and Ben, Scott. Uh, they don't. That's because they have a family, man. They're trying to raise a family in a proper manner, which is really cool. The bad thing is though, our government gets away with murder right in front of them, and the people are paying for it, not the government. We pay for this. That's why our president's so important to us. He's not a politician. He is not part of that quagmire. Uh, Holy cow, it's like cancer. He's not part of that. He's kind of like the surgeons that are going to come in and remove that cancer as much as he can.
Yeah.
And
Now,
God bless,
did he
God bless him for
partake?
that.
We could probably agree that before whatever happened, before he was selected or before he had the desire to be president, however that story comes out to be told later on, that he did partake, he did rub shoulders with these people in the 80s and 90s, building up his empires and making all the money. He definitely did, and he admits it. He says, I'm a former insider. These people have plans that they used to talk about, and it didn't resonate with me well, and now they're mad at me because I'm on the outside of their circle, because I'm here to tell you what they had planned for you, and they don't like me no more.
Yeah.
That's basically what he said. So he's listened, he learned, he just ended up not agreeing. He probably always heard tidbits of things that they're involved in, and he was never that extreme, like, oh, they're into kids or displacing kids around the world or creating wars over here to get refugees torn apart to go here, and then in the midst of that, we're going to take some of the kids, and then they
Well, I
just blame
think
it on that, the confusion of being transferred as a refugee.
if
The
you
parents.
if you if you follow our president through his time, kind of, sort of, yeah, he was like that, and he admits it. Then I think there's a person I believe would be called JFK Jr. that actually started talking to Mr. Trump, President Trump, and they actually devised a plan because JFK Jr. was really hot, and I believe he's still alive. I can't say nothing about that, but I really think that that is the main avenue for getting things straightened out, because there's an insider and an outsider, and they both know the game. And I hope I'm correct on that, Mike. What do you think?
Well, I
He's
take
getting
it.
he's getting it somewhere.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe there's something working there. I believe the plan that high level military patriots embedded into our system. I know they're there. I mean, I was a military. I was a patriot the whole time. Didn't in my own mind, I didn't do anything devious when I was in the services. Same with you. I know there's good people embedded. I know there's people that have been blackmailed or worked for a higher order because they chose that path. Even those people have justified it to think that they are right. that the 99% of the world are idiots, and we must be guided into our future, and they're helping guide us. That's what they're being told. So, because I don't think anyone really truly gets up in the morning, putting on their tie, and, I'm going to be evil today, and looking in the mirror, and I'm going to go do evil things. They think they're doing right, and they think they're, that we're all idiots. So
I will say the higher echelon are the ones that put the ties on and they say, yes, I'm going to do something evil today because they're going to make money on it.
yeah,
That's the higher echelon. It's the other individuals that are trying to do something in their life that are keep doing above their own job, trying to make things work out so they can be promoted to a different position.
yes,
Sometimes people be blind doing that because they try so hard to be better than what they are, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just the problem is sometimes they do it blindly.
yes.
That's all I got to say.
No, and Q maps have broken down to us how the infrastructure works, and we always talk about compartmentalization. We know in the military or most government positions that you have bosses, and you don't really question them. You get told like, "Hey, soldier, go do this," and you're just like, "Why?" You don't get to do that. You do it, or like, "Well, I don't think that's a good idea." No, I don't want to. You are done. You're gonna get a punishment that you just don't like, and if you're fortunate enough to get the next time to be told to do something, you're probably gonna like, well, last time I spent 30 days in the brig and lost a couple pay grades, and that wasn't very fun. So the structure is set up on purpose to where they don't have to have everyone involved. They just have to have the right person put in at the top of and out in the civilian world, same thing. It's your boss tells you you're gonna do this. No, I'm not. Well, then you get fired, and they're gonna get somebody else that will do that. So
Exactly.
this is how it works, folks. It's really simple, honestly. A lot of people over the years, I used to think the same, like, whoa, so many people are involved. It's like, just like this investigation, they had all these really good people in the meat of the FBI going out, knocking on doors, getting evidence, bringing all that evidence just comes to the very top of that pyramid structure. And then you got these 3 or 4 guys that can, and then come out with a statement and say, we're not going to charge her. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. We're not going to charge her. She's good. But we're going to look for something on Trump. So think about that, Woodman. A lot of these people in the truth movement have known about the one world order, the government's plans, or not so much the government, but the elites around the world, embedded into all the governments, and directing this narrative of what was to come. And here, possibly, we got this guy that's not part of that. And people know it. They're like, he's not a career politician, and we need a career politician. And you're like, geez, I thought we were trying to get rid of that. Well, he's not the guy. He's part of it, or he's got his own one world order. That's people started coming up with really crazy scenarios like, well, he's not part of the main one world system. He's got his own, and all his people, they're trying to do it. It's like, oh gosh. It seems like he's coming in and putting a fork in a lot of their stuff, putting in executive orders, and because I know the one world order doesn't want border walls. The one world order doesn't want human trafficking to stop. They don't want the drug flow to stop. And here Trump is just screaming about a border. We're done with the drugs. We're done with this human trafficking in and out. And even citizens are mad about it now. Like, the problem isn't the border wall. People are arguing over it, Woodman. Like, everything comes in at the checkpoints. What they catch is what they catch, and what they don't is what we have in our country. Nothing comes in at the empty spots. Well, how do you know that? How do you know that nothing comes in at the empty spots? Are you there? No. And they have no record of anything, so therefore nothing. It's word porn. Under Obama, if you were on unemployment, and once the unemployment benefits ran out, you were deemed to be back to work. So they were able to, for the first time, they're like, oh, that changes the numbers really well. All the people that expire their unemployment, if we just say that they're back to work, even though they're not, their money's just ran out, they're paid, still sitting at home doing nothing, but they changed that, and that was positive for Obama to come out and be like, jobs are up 25 million. And it's just like, no, you had 25 million fall off unemployment, and they're still not working. So they can play numbers and games all they want, and that's been the case for years and years. So like you said, you hit it on the head. People are busy. They're busy with their lives. They got kids. Kids are at school, after school programs. Parents work till that time, got dinner to make. And that's the whole guys too. They want to keep you busy, and they hope that you just turn on one of them mainstream channels for 10 minutes, and they're going to force feed what they want you to think. And people do it all day long. They're cooking dinner. I'm like, I got to get informed. I'm going to turn on CNN. Turn on CNN, cook your dinner, shut that off, and now you're full of 30 minutes of what you just heard, which is 90% garbage. And now you're out there spreading it around to your neighbor, and you're going to fight your neighbor over what you heard on CNN too, by the way.
Yeah, I got one for you. I have to laugh at this one. This is really comical. There's a guy on one of these channels that was bragging about how much they have captured 80% of the meth that comes into the United States. Are you kidding me? What? We have a meth problem in the United States. If they're saying they're letting 20% go, there's not enough dope to go around to all the people that are hooked on it right now.
Yeah. Well, there's so that's the other thing. Like, I was watching a news channel, that Chris Cuomo on CNN. Really can't stand the guy, but he's one that I do watch too. He's one of the enemies I keep a close eye on. I like to hear what he's saying, even though it's all bullcrap. But he had a guy on that was about, well, Chris, this border wall, we're going to stop the human trafficking. And he's bringing that up. And Chris is like, well, we have our own human trafficking problem here in the United States. Right here. Kids are taken from one state and moved over to 5 states over, and they're getting human trafficked. And the guy goes, good point, Chris. Yeah, we have our own human trafficking problem right in the border walls here. But we also have a pretty huge one from the kids in our country coming out of it, or ones from other places coming in. So where do you start? He goes, if it's, we always follow these idiots. It's like, we have our own problem here, so you shouldn't worry about. So if we don't do the border thing, then we have 2 problems. We have the international, border crossing trafficking, and then we have it in, same with the killings. When we got illegals that come over and murder. By the way, Woodman, we have our own murderers here. Did you know that? Yes. Yeah. And we're trying to combat that, and we're trying to combat this over here. So when the people tell you nothing comes, we build that. If we were to focus on the border checkpoints and got really, really, really good at it, like they're catching 100% of everything, then what do you think these people would do? Probably really start using the open border spots. Now we gotta, do people want us to wait to get the borders sealed up, make sure we don't have crooked guards working, and that we just do everything 100% right at the border checkpoints, and then we cleaned it up? You don't think that these people are like, well, there are all those empty spots that we weren't using before. Let's go use those empty spots. They would go there. So now it would be a crisis to get the wall built anyway. So we need to do 100%. That's build a wall, look at the tunnels, look at the airplanes, look at the ships coming in, and the port of entries on the wall where the big openings are, that we welcome people to come legally, not illegally. It's just people are crazy. I'm gonna give you the final word here. I got to get going. We've been going. We're at the 45-minute mark. But go ahead, Woodman. Any final thoughts, words? We can do this again later tonight, or possibly tomorrow. I think it's looking like it's working out good during the days. So maybe we'll try to do our morning, 10 o'clocks, noons, something like that. I know in the evening gets a little rough at your home as well with things going on. And but
okay, here I got something for everybody to think about. 2020, we've been watching a lot of Democrats gonna put their name in the hat for presidential campaign. Are you kidding me? Have you looked at these people that are putting their name in the hat? These are going to be people that are going to try and run our country. It's not going to happen. I truly believe our President Trump right now will get such a good reverse start on our corruption that it's going to catch on. It's going to be like an anti-cancer, clean it from the inside out. He's true about draining the swamp, and he's not a politician, so therefore he doesn't have any ties. He's just going to make enemies along the way, and those enemies along the way are the ones that are upset because they just root. It's like, well, it's my football, and if you're not going to let me be the quarterback, I'm going home. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
so
I'm gonna
come
take my
on.
stuff and go home.
Too late now, because our president ain't gonna let you do that anymore. You know, uh, I still want to see. I can't wait till Mueller comes back and gives his little speech.
It's going to be interesting what we find out from that, whether he did a very honest and it led to so many other things, because we know just by clear connections at this point, the whole fusion GPS, the whole Russia, Steele, Clinton, Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr, all these people, it just doesn't look good. And I can't see how they could come up from any of these investigations without stumbling across this again. It's like, well, yeah, there was a lot of that there. We just jumped over it and ignored it. She didn't win. That's what a lot of people try to tell you too. Like you try to bring up Hillary Woodman, she didn't win. Well, that doesn't constitute. You try to rob a bank and you're running out, and somebody tackles you, the gun flies out of your hand, and they get the money right back into the bank. It's like, well, you can't really charge me with this because I didn't get away with it. I tried. So it's like, no, we don't. That's not how we operate with our laws. So
Remember the campaign before he was president. President Trump said he wants to put Hillary in jail.
yeah, that's right. And
He,
and
he
everyone
said
thought, well, he should have came into office that day and arrest her. It's like, well, Trump doesn't slam her up against the wall, spread them, and put handcuffs on her. That would be him breaking the law. So
right.
that was my point earlier. I believe everything's being done so right, so precise, so by the book, so by the law, and it's coming out little by little. We started way back with all these things, and it's all leading up. It's going to lead to Hillary, and it's going to go above that. Here's what I truly think. By the time that Comey came out in July of 16, at that point, 3-4 months before the election, 5 months, it was down to Hillary and Trump. Trump had soared through the Republican Party, made it to the very front runner, and then on the Democratic side, Hillary had cheated her way to the very top. Bernie was cheated and out. So if they would have came out, Comey would have came out that day and said, yeah, all the stuff Hillary did, it is a felony charge, and she's going to be arrested. That would have guaranteed Trump the win. That's the way I'm understanding it. And plus, they couldn't have done that because it led to so many other people. If Hillary would have went down for what she did, it would have led to Obama. The way that he was emailing her, he was all complicit. He lied on TV about when he knew about it. I mean, they just had to cover it up because it has led to too many other people in positions, and it was just very, very bad for all of them. And she would have been screaming that, of course, well, if you're taking me down, look at this. And they did it, were emailing me. The president had no problem with my server. So we've also heard, what if we find out Obama pardoned Hillary secretly before he left office? What if he put some paperwork in like, yeah, and it all remains secret? We'll find some of this stuff out possibly. Who knows? But
Well, even if he did, the things that she done after that, she's accountable for.
yes,
He can't do that after the fact stuff.
that's right.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
so I can't wait to see. Listen. I went out and bought another box of popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait because I'm trying to hold off until President Trump does get back in the country, because that's pretty much when things are going to really be kind of neat. And here again too, you're going to have to really look between the lines, because he's not going to come right out and whoosh, tell you everything. But it's just can't wait between him and Mueller. What do you think shit's going to do? Woohoo! All
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, he's
So
going to be happy.
I think it's been a great organic build-up. I think it's when he said something about Hillary being in jail or she should be arrested. I think all that's true. He hasn't said much that he hasn't, really been true about. But it's like, how come he hasn't arrested her yet himself? It's like, how do you get the corrupt DOJ and FBI to even look at her when they just got done saying she didn't do anything or we weren't going to press charges? Everything's got to be looked into. Every little thing's leading up to, eventually the tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch, and the Supreme Court was offered to her to let her off, and she's going to win, and don't worry about it. And this is what sucked. She lost, and everything fell apart on these people, and this was the end result. A big Russia charade to be so loud that they could hope to get rid of him in these last 2 years somehow, some other way, something would come up that they could impeach him for, and then get all these things shut down immediately that are going on. So they are scared. They're scrambling, and folks, it's coming. There's just no way. There's no way that the only hype we've heard about is a fake Russia collusion for 2 years, and that's all we're going to get is he didn't do anything. But all this other stuff is huge. Even the fact of how they started that onto him is a crime. For the first time in a long time, we've had a normal civilian try to come in, not part of the game, not a polished politician, and they tried everything to get that guy out of there. You're not one of us. We don't want you here because of all the things we've done. That's the way I take it. So, all right, we'll shut this down. Woodman, if you're available later, we'll see. If not, tomorrow. All right, guys. God bless. Godspeed each and every one of you. And we'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour update. We thank you for joining in. We appreciate it.
God bless.
God bless.